Welcome tonight. We will step quietly into another time, a world bound by stone walls, candlelight, and the rhythm of prayer. We are going to visit a medieval monastery, a place where silence is not simply a practice, but a way of life. Imagine yourself walking slowly along a frost-tipped path before the first light of dawn. The air is cold enough to bite gently at your cheeks. Somewhere far off, a bell tolls, slow, deep, and resonant, its sound rolling across the sleeping countryside. You follow that sound to a heavy wooden door, dark with age, and step inside. The air is warmer here, but faintly scented with beeswax and smoke from the kitchen hearth. It is quiet, almost impossibly so, except for the soft scrape of your shoes on worn stone. In the hours ahead, we will trace the daily rhythm of the monks who lived here, wander into a time of deep crisis and quiet endurance. Turn the fragile pages of illuminated manuscripts filled with strange little drawings, and finally, glimpse the life of those who led from the high seats of the monastery, where vows of poverty did not always mean a life without comfort. Let us begin. In the deep darkness before dawn, it is the hour before sunrise. You are lying on a narrow wooden bed. The straw-filled mattress rustles softly as you rise. The chill of the stone floor greets your bare feet. Your breath is visible in the dim light. The small window above your bed lets in only the faintest gray. There is no lingering here. The first bell, matins, has already sounded. You pull your rough wool habit over your head, the fabric heavy and slightly coarse against your skin. A rope belt ties simply around your waist. This is all you will wear every day, through summer heat and winter frost. You join a silent line of figures moving slowly down the corridor. The cloister is lit only by flickering candles. Their flames tremble slightly in the cold air, sending shadows dancing along the arches. The only sound is the shuffle of sandals and the muted creak of wood beneath your steps. In the chapel, the air is warmer. Rows of wooden stalls face each other, and the scent of incense lingers faintly from last night's service. You settle into your place, bow your head, and the chanting begins. Low voices, slow and deliberate, filling the air with steady rhythm. The Latin words are familiar to you now, repeated day after day, year after year, until they are less a language, and more like the gentle turning of a wheel, smooth and endless. The hours of prayer stretch long. Sometimes your mind wanders to the garden you will tend later, or the small meal you will have after sunrise. But it always returns to the words, drawn back by the sound of the others around you. When prayers end, the day's labor begins. Some monks head to the fields, tools in hand, faces calm. Others go to the kitchens or the scriptorium, where pens scratch quietly over parchment. We're assigned to the garden today. Meals are simple. A little bread, a thin soup, perhaps some cheese if the stores allow. Everything eaten in silence, while one brother reads softly from scripture at the head of the table. By evening, your body is tired but calm. The cold returns quickly as the sun sinks, and you gather again in the chapel for the final prayers. The candles burn low, their light warm against the dark stone, and as the last chant fades into the air, you return to your cell, pull your blanket close, and let the rhythm of your day carry you gently into sleep, till the bell calls again. The year is 1348. Imagine yourself once more within the cool stone walls of the monastery, but now the air carries a weight, an unspoken heaviness. The plague has reached the nearby town. Whispers from the lay brothers, muffled behind the rule of silence, tell of empty streets and shuttered windows. From your narrow window slit, you see carts pass by, not laden with grain or cloth, but covered with rough linen sheets. The sound of the wheels upon the cobblestones is slow and uneven, as though even the cart struggles under its burden. Inside the monastery, life is meant to remain unchanged. The bells still toll for matins, for lauds, for prime. The psalms are still read with the same measured cadence, and yet there is a subtle shift in the rhythm of their days. In the refectory, fewer bowls are set out on the long table. The echo of footsteps in the cloister is thinner, the spaces between them longer. One of the elder monks coughs during vespers. The sound is slight, barely above a breath, but it draws every head. No one speaks, but you feel the tightening in the air. In the cell assigned to Brother Anselm, you see him sitting hunched over his prayer book. His hands tremble as he turns the pages. Not from age, but from something deeper, perhaps fatigue. The words he reads are the same sacred verses he has known since novitiate. Yet tonight, they seem to weigh differently upon his heart. Imagine the long night he faces. The silence that once comforted him now feels like a barrier, keeping him alone with his thoughts. In the darkness, he wonders, if the plague comes within these walls, is it a test of faith or a sign of abandonment? He cannot ask aloud, cannot confide in his brothers, for the vow of silence binds him tighter than any lock or chain. The only sound is the steady drip of water in the cloister garden, echoing through the stone corridors. Each drop falls like the slow ticking of a clock, though here there are no clocks, only the tolling of bells. When he does sleep, it is restless. He dreams of the faces of the townspeople, the market square now empty, the baker's stall without bread, the smell of incense replaced with something darker and heavier. And yet, when the first light of dawn spills into his cell, he rises. The rule demands obedience, and obedience demands the day begin as all others, in prayer, in work, in silence. But somewhere within him, the thought remains, that the walls may not keep the world's troubles outside forever. As the sun climbs higher, the monastery's life continues, its calm and unbroken surface, beneath which currents of fear and faith swirl unseen. And now, we turn to the quiet beauty hidden in the very pages these monks created. The manuscripts where devotion meets artistry, and where secrets sometimes slip between the lines. It is now the late afternoon of a summer day in the year 1372. The monastery is warm, the scent of sun-baked stone mingling with the faint sweetness of beeswax candles. Inside the scriptorium, light pours through tall, narrow windows, falling in angled shafts across long wooden desks. Here, monks bend over vellum sheets, their quills moving in slow, deliberate strokes. The air is thick with concentration. The only sounds are the gentle scrape of pen against parchment, the occasional clink of a knife trimming an edge smooth. One brother, his fingers stained faintly with blue and red pigments, works on the border of a psalter page. Gold leaf glints under his hand, catching the sunlight like tiny flames. He breathes carefully, steadying himself, for even a small exhalation could scatter the powder or smudge the paint. Each flourish in the margin tells more than it seems. While the main text is sacred and solemn, the edges are alive with strange and delightful shapes. Curling vines, fantastical beasts, and tiny human figures in impossible poses. One creature, a rabbit, in full armor, stands ready to charge a snail with its lance. Another shows a fox dressed as a monk, sly eyes glancing toward the center of the page. And these little images are not just decorations. They are the whispers of the illuminator's mind, his private humor, his moments of rebellion against the rigid lines of the rule. A younger monk, delivering fresh vellum to the desk, pauses to glance at the page. He raises an eyebrow at the armored rabbit but says nothing. In this silent brotherhood, jokes are passed not through laughter or words, but through these hidden works of art. The pigments themselves are rare treasures. Lapis lazuli from distant Afghanistan gives the richest blue. Red is drawn from crushed insects. Green comes from verdigris, a patina scraped from weathered copper. To obtain them requires trade networks stretching across kingdoms, seas, and deserts. Every jar of color is as valuable as gold and used as sparingly. When the work is complete, the page will be bound into a great book, a thing to outlast lifetimes. And perhaps centuries from now, someone will see the tiny rabbit and smile, never knowing the name of the monk who drew it, but feeling that spark of shared humanity nonetheless. Outside, the sun begins to dip toward the horizon, its light softening into gold. The monks will soon gather for vespers. The page is set aside to dry, and the quills are laid down. Another day's labor is finished, one more link in the chain of devotion stretching through time. But tonight, not all is routine, because beyond the cloister walls, a sound is stirring in the village below. A sound that will call even these men of silence to take notice. Night has fallen over the valley. The monastery lies wrapped in a quilt of stillness, stone walls holding the cool breath of the evening. A crescent moon hangs above, silvering the cloisters and the tiled roof. Inside, the great hall glows faintly from the embers of a dying fire. The brothers have retired to their narrow cells, their day measured and complete. Then the bells begin to ring. Not the slow, ordered toll of the prayer call, but a frantic, uneven clamor. The sound cuts the night, reverberating across the dark fields. In the village below, dogs bark, windows open. Shadows move in the streets. The echo of the bells climbs the hills, rattling through the monastery's high windows and into the sleeping quarters. The monks gather in the courtyard, their habits fluttering in the cool wind. No one speaks at first. They listen. Beyond the bells, there is something else, a low, rolling noise as if the earth itself is shifting. From the watchtower, a voice calls down. Lights in the woods. Every head turns toward the eastern tree line. Between the black trunks, pinpricks of orange and red sway and flare. For a moment, it could be lanterns, but then the glow blooms higher, brighter, and a twisting column of smoke rises into the night. One of the older brothers, the illuminator from earlier, grips his rosary tighter. His mind leaps to memories of long-ago raids, when distant fires meant danger moving closer. The armored rabbit in his manuscript suddenly feels less like a joke and more like a premonition. The abbot steps forward, his voice steady but firm. Gather the alms and water. Send word to the gatekeeper. We will meet them if they come. The bells continue, their echoes carrying far into the dark. And though no one yet knows who or what is coming through the woods, every man in that courtyard understands. Tomorrow, the quiet rhythm of the monastery will be broken, and another story will be etched into the long memory of these stones.